NCSoft has officially announced that they are bringing Blade & Soul to consoles, which is a huge deal because mostly they own other games that I would love to see on console. Final Fantasy XI Mobile has gotten a brief little trickle of information for the first time in like 2 years and is apparently still being worked on. And finally, EA is thinking of bringing other games to Nintendo Switch, but they're basing that decision basically entirely on the success of FIFA 2018 on that console. All that and more, let's get right into this week's Hunt for Game News. So, Blade & Soul. This one actually has me excited for a couple of reasons. One, the game was actually kind of decent, with the combat especially being a lot of fun to play with. Unfortunately, I didn't think that the keyboard and mouse were the best venue for that kind of style of action combat. I would prefer a controller for that kind of thing, point one. But, I mean, the lore, the art style, the general environments of the game, all had me kind of excited. The anime nature of the storytelling, it was all cool, and I was like, this is pretty cool. But the pacing, the writing of that story, the quests were really bland. Certain gameplay aspects of the title left me ultimately uninterested. But a controller sports game would fit it really well, and people did really enjoy the PvP aspects because of how like action-oriented the combat was. It was kind of like a fighting game, but with an MMO. People seem to really enjoy that part of it, so could be worth checking out on consoles. On top of that, NCSoft exploring, console deliveries of their MMOs is really big deal because some of their other games have been huge. Aeon, Guild Wars 2, one of my favorites, for instance, have all are owned by NCSoft, and if they see some success with Blade & Soul, they might consider porting these other games to consoles as well. Honestly, for me, I think that's important because it'll expand the player base of those games. Hopefully they make it like cross-platform, but it depends on the game and how that would work. But ultimately, I just want to see control schemes with controllers for more games, especially MMOs, because that was one of the reasons I fell so in love with Final Fantasy XI, was I could just relax and absorb the game because I was just sitting there like doing this and then occasionally typing out to my friends. But with a keyboard and mouse, I always eventually remember that I'm like on a keyboard and mouse. It doesn't grab me the same way. So it's just cool news. I mean, more MMOs are getting console releases now. It's not so unusual. It used to just be the few that I've mentioned, but I mean, Terra I just signed up for a Terra open beta that hasn't been announced yet for consoles. I'm excited to hopefully get a chance to check out how that plays. Black Desert Online. Both are kind of action combat-based games that could fit really well in a console environment and draw in a whole new player base. By releasing these games on consoles as well as PC, it can really help to draw in a new crowd that isn't used to MMOs and might have a totally fresh mindset, which that freshness could really help the MMO genre, because a lot of problems we have as fans of MMOs these days come from the fact that we've been playing MMOs for like 20 years, and a lot of it's just really stale. But people that have been playing on consoles, haven't had a chance to play some of those games, might enjoy some of the stuff that we've grown so tired of and just be like, guys, you're being silly. This stuff is a lot of fun. That freshness could really reinvigorate like passion for MMOs. And I mean, obviously, part two, my favorite MMOs ever, Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XIV, were like heavily released on consoles. Final Fantasy XI was first on a PS2, and then to PC later. Final Fantasy XIV kind of like simultaneously on a couple of different systems, but that console aspect and the controller-based gameplay and how they had to develop the games around that mindset were one of the many reasons I love both those games. So I think more games, like more MMOs that are released on console, the better. So exciting news. Sorry. Exciting news. Guild Wars 2, I always thought would work really well with a control scheme if the UI was set up in such a way that a controller could access it. I mean, obviously you can kind of hack together some systems with the Steam controller or even just X input with the 360 controller, but it doesn't really work too well when you have to access any menu, and Guild Wars 2 has a lot of menus, so it's a little bit unfortunate. But moving on, speaking of Final Fantasy XI, which I just mentioned, thank you, first of all, to Daniel Miller for pointing out this news to me. But Nexon, who's been heading the Final Fantasy XI mobile project, supposedly, since like 2015 when it was first announced, recently listed Final Fantasy XI as fourth on their mobile projects at an investors meeting. What this means, nobody knows. Seriously, we're not really sure what this means, but it either either indicates that a release is imminent and they plan to see this be profitable through the fourth quarter of this year. I think that's unlikely, but I mean, anything's possible, I guess. Or just that they're saying there's a larger focus of development on this game. It's moved up higher in their tier list of priorities. and they're going to start really making some progress on Final Fantasy XI Mobile. We have no idea what's been going on with it because we have seen nothing, literally nothing for like 2 years, at least since 2015, I think. So that's, I mean, thrilling. I don't have super high hopes for Final Fantasy XI Mobile. I will say that, or any Nexon product really at all. Final Fantasy XI or no, it's hard to hear that someone is taking your favorite game, though, your favorite game of all time, and creating a new experience for it on a platform that can be played anywhere, is always in your pocket with updated graphics, and just be like, I'm not interested. I don't think it's going to be good. I don't think there's any way they can capture the magic without totally ruining it with like mobile aspects of like microtransactions and other stuff. But I'm still pumped. I really want to see what happens with it. I hope beyond hope that somehow it's like amazing and just, it's just the best experience ever, but I doubt it. So, moving on, let me know what you think about that. Obviously, tons of people on this channel follow Final Fantasy XI news and probably really excited to see what happens with this game. Finally, at least a little bit of news that it's still in development. They're still working on it, and possibly it's coming out soon. We don't know. So, EA, according to trusted reviews, in an interview with Edge Magazine, EA Worldwide Studios Executive Vice President Patrick Sutherland, I think it's Sutherland, stated that they're watching FIFA's success very closely, FIFA 2018, which is being released on Nintendo Switch, before deciding on releasing any additional games that, you know, I mean, EA owns like countless games, on the Nintendo Switch. They were totally honest about, or, you know, Sutherland, speaking for EA, was totally honest about they're looking at this from a pure numbers perspective. If they see the Switch as a console that they can sell a lot of games on, they will release games for it. They have no qualms. Sutherland himself loves the Nintendo Switch, apparently. So that's cool. I guess that means if you really want to see like the likes of Battlefield or Star Wars Battlefront or other EA games on the Nintendo Switch, buy FIFA? I don't know. FIFA 2018, I've looked into a little bit on the Switch. It sounds like it's not running the Frostbite engine, which is interesting for both FIFA and those other titles I just mentioned, which I think run on the Frostbite engine. And might be missing some of the single-player components with the like journey story thing. I don't really know. I haven't looked into it too much. If you're really interested in FIFA 2018, don't trust my word on that. Look into it. But I do know that there are slight differences between the FIFA Nintendo Switch version and the ones being released and everything else. FIFA's not really my thing, but EA does release a lot of titles that I'm very interested in, so I'd love to see more of those games on the Switch. Hopefully, it sells well enough that they do that. Obviously, Nintendo Switch has been doing very well, according to reports. So, hopefully, a lot of people are interested. Anyways, that's pretty much all we got for today. I know you might have noticed some stuff's been switched around a little bit this week. We normally release Hunt for Let's Plays on Monday. I say normally like it's been months. We've been trying to do that for like 3 weeks. It's been going pretty well. I'm switching it to Wednesday this week to see how that Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday kind of works out, so we'll see. That might end up being too much or just too crazy, or just you guys are like, why miss the Monday? So we'll see. But anyways, thanks for checking in. Check back next Tuesday for more Hunt for Game news, and let me know game news from this week you think I might have missed. I might have missed it, or I just didn't think it was that interesting. That happens all the time. But yeah, check back again, and thanks for watching. Peace. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.